Hello, hello again, another Agricolor reaction. Today we will be watching Khalid ibn al-Walid, a profile of a warrior. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that name still, despite me trying to actually pronouncing it right. This is a talk by Roy Casagranda from Austin School, and let's just go and keep watching. This man sounds like a genius in strategy.
That would be hard to replicate with a contemporary army today.
Mm-hmm.
He just takes his men through a spot that has no water and no food, and he gets them across. They show up in Syria, they come up to Damascus, and he captures the city. At that point, Emperor Heraclius is tearing his hair out, trying to figure out what to do, because all of this is a shock and a surprise. Nobody ever thought the Arabs were a threat. Where is this even coming from? So Heraclius goes to Antioch, which is on that map as Antiocheia, but it's Antioch. And they had renamed it Theopolis, which is City of God. And he shows up, and he's hunkered down in there, and he gets together his generals, and he decides to launch a counterattack. And what Heraclius' idea is, you send 4 Roman armies, and you catch the 4 Muslim Arab armies in 4 separate locations, and you take them out piecemeal. Heraclius does not want to ever have a situation where he's bringing all 4 of his armies together, because he doesn't have the economy to support having that many men in one location. There's just too few people. The infrastructure has fallen apart. Word reaches the Muslims that there are these 4 armies now coming towards them. The commander of the 4 armies is a guy named Ubaidah, Abu Ubaidah. Abu Ubaidah was told that he was in command, and Khaled was relieved of command.
Okay.
He could still be a general, but he would not be the guy in charge. And the reason is because the new Caliph, Abu Bakr, only lived 2 years as Khalid. He's dead.
Oh.
He's replaced by a guy named Umar ibn al-Khattab. The new Caliph is Khalid's first cousin, and he doesn't trust Khalid. He thinks Khalid has political ambitions. And so he's worried that if people like him too much because he's too amazing, he'll eventually try to become the new Caliph, and he'll do a political coup. So he demotes Khalid, but so Abu Ubaidah orders the Arab armies to head over towards where it says Al-Jabiyah. The problem is the Hassanids keep attacking them from behind. And so the Muslims try to figure out what to do. They decide to hold a conference. And then what they do is they ask an interesting question. Abu Ubaidah does, the commander. And the question he asks is, would you guys rather have Khalid in charge or me? And everybody looks at him like, you know, we feel guilty saying this, but yeah, Khalid. And he goes, me too. I would like to propose that we promote Khalid to being in command unofficially, because I'll be officially in command.
Okay.
But unofficially, he'll be in charge. And everybody votes yes. And so he takes command of the army, even though he can't, because he's been demoted. And he comes up with a plan. And the plan is to head back a little ways towards Damascus to get away from the Ghassanids, to a spot where the Muslim army, I don't know how I should do this. Should I aim myself like this? It's weird talking with my back. I'll do it this way. So on the south end of the Muslim army is this giant ravine. And then there's a plateau. It's called the plain of Yarmouk. And the ravine is the ravine of Yarmouk. And then across from the ravine is another ravine. So you can't really use them as an army because you'd be falling off a cliff to go into them. They're really steep. So he's got his left flank, his southern flank, covered by this ravine. And they just wait, which now forces, because now all 4 of the Arab armies are in one location, it forces the Romans to bring their armies together, which they didn't want to do. The commander of the Roman army is an Armenian named Vahan. But a huge chunk of this Roman army, probably about a quarter of it, was actually made up of Arabs, Christian Arabs. So this is going to be an Arab versus Arab fight at some core level. Vahan brings his army up, and he puts it in between the second ravine in the west and the Muslim army. On day one, he does a really light, gentle probing attack, just to try to figure out what he's up against, how the Arabs are going to respond to his attack. He's just going up and touching to figure out what's going on. The Arabs feel the pressure because they're outnumbered again. Now, this isn't Firaz level outnumbered, but it's still bad. We don't know the exact numbers, but it's probably in the ballpark that there were 120,000 Romans and about 40,000 Muslim Arabs. So the Muslim Arabs are outnumbered by about 3 to 1.
Assalam.
Another ad. I'm sorry, I'm not very, I don't know, I just don't know much to say, because honestly, I'm just kind of interested in listening to the story about him, and so far it's more about battles and stuff. The fact that he is, I'm just gonna repeat myself, he just seems to be a very good strategist. Even the fact that someone who was demoted and then someone else was promoted, and he actually decided, do you prefer to have this guy as a leader? Because I would like that too. It's actually really interesting. That's what it is though. So yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't have much to say about it. I'm kind of interested in just listening to the story of his life and what he did. I'm kind of curious how that finished. There's not much time left, but yeah. So this ad is also again a bit longer, so I'll see you soon. Okay, I'm back again, and I just keep listening about Khalid ibn al-Walid. I put the W in there again. By the way, why is it called W? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't even sound like W.
So Vahan is just sort of checking things out because he knows these Muslim Arabs are good fighters. He doesn't want to do anything risky on day one. The sun goes down, they disengage, a few hundred people are wounded or killed. It's not heavy casualties. On day two, Vahan decides he's going to have the Roman left flank and the Roman right flank hit the Muslim army as hard as it can. Because he figures he's got the numerical advantage, hit them as hard as you can. So he orders that. The Muslim commander on the left is a guy named Yazid, and the Muslim commander on the right is a guy named Amr ibn al-As. And Abu Ubaidah is in the middle.
Right.
The guy who's supposed to be in charge. And then Khaled's in the back controlling everything. And the weight of the Roman army is so overwhelming, both Muslim flanks are collapsing. And they're in full retreat. And in the north, on the Muslim right flank, the women, so it's worth pointing something out that's actually really interesting. Women have always been an integral part of warfare in all times. We pretend like we've just recently let women in the militaries. The Persians had an all-woman archer division.
Nice. That's where
the stories about the Amazons.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
That wasn't made up. That mythology was based on a real event. A rogue archer division of women, we don't know why, decided to go on a tear and attacked a bunch of Greek city-states on the Aegean Sea and burnt their temples and set their shit on fire. Oh, I cussed. I said I wouldn't. And they deserved it, just for the record. And then the Greeks were so traumatized by this, they were like, we were attacked by Amazons. And they were. And it really did happen. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool. Usually, women were support staff. They weren't in direct combat roles. Notice I didn't say always, I said usually. Mm-hmm. For example, the Vikings fielded women. The Persians, the Vikings, the Armenians fielded women. The Romans did not ever field women. They were against it. But women still played a support role in Roman legions. And the Arabs were the same. They did have some women warriors, by the way, just so we're clear. But for the most part, there were very few women who participated directly in battle. In any case, the women on Amr ibn al-As's side pull down the tents, grab the posts, and charge the men who are retreating. And they shout at them, you've shamed your wives, and now you have a choice. You can be killed by your wives, or you can be killed by the Romans. Vahan's blown away. He can't believe that he attacked an army a third the size. They broke it, it rallied, and pushed them back. But he thinks, I've got it. I've killed enough of them. This was a bloody enough affair. I can probably break them the next day. So the next day, which is really day 3 at this point, he decides to focus everything he's got on the Muslim right flank. So he's going to ignore half the Muslim army. He takes everything and smashes it in. And sure enough, the Muslims are being pushed back. And the women take the tent posts back and are holding it a line against their own men. And the Arab men turn around and re-engage, and they stabilize the situation. Khaled brings his cavalry units around, and he smashes into the Roman flanks that are attacking, and they slowly push the Romans back. And day 3 ends right where it began. Vahan is now really upset because he can't comprehend how he's not moving this Arab army. But he thinks, okay, I think we're still in this. So day 4, he decides to do the same thing. Push that same Muslim right flank. Just hit them as hard as you can with everything you've got. And Khaled this time had assumed this was going to happen. So what he had done is he had redeployed his cavalry so that it would be able to respond more quickly. And he manages to stabilize the flank, even though it does start to collapse. They do start to fall back, and they manage to push the Romans back, and they stop day 4 right where they started. Day 5, Vahan sends a guy to talk. And he's ready to come up with a compromise. Like, maybe you get Jerusalem and we keep Damascus, something like that. Khaled goes, oh, the Romans only talk when they're losing. Okay, I'm going to refuse to talk. Day 6, he took all his cavalry. It was about 8,000 men. Out of his 40,000 men, about 8,000 were cavalry. And he put all of them on his right flank. When the sun came up, he swung it around. So now the Romans are trapped between his army and the 2 ravines. There was a bridge over the western ravine. During the night, he had sent 500 cavalry around through the plain. They had snuck down into the ravine, and they had captured the bridge. And his goal is to get the Romans to run towards the bridge, because there's nowhere to go, because the Muslims actually have the bridge, just the Romans don't know. And he comes swinging over the top, and he smashes the Roman left flank really hard. He breaks the Roman cavalry unit that was there, and he breaks the Roman army that was there. It's the cavalry unit and the army start to retreat. They're running in 2 other Roman units, sending them into disarray. And then the Romans try to respond with heavy cavalry. Vahan sees what's happening. He organizes cavalry. He draws it in, but it's heavy cavalry and it's slow. Khaled comes in with his light cavalry and he attacks them before they can get into more formation, destroys them. Then he takes his cavalry and he slams it into the back of the Roman army. It breaks and goes into full retreat. And that's how he took 40,000 men against 120,000 men at Yarmouk and destroyed them. Vahan got away with a cavalry detachment. Khaled grabbed his fastest horses and his best men, and they took off and they chased General Vahan. And they caught up with him just outside of Damascus. And Khaled lets his men tear up Vahan's men until the only man standing is Vahan. And Khaled had told his men, don't touch him. And then he comes up to Vahan and he says, you are a man, a man's man. And so I'm going to give you a man's death. And they dueled one-on-one, and he kills Vahan. And then Khaled goes and recaptures Damascus. Emperor Heraclius holds a council, and he asks his remaining generals,
Another ad? How far we are? Not entirely sure how long. I think there's about 15 minutes left, isn't it? We shall see. Like I said, yeah, I'm kind of hearing that. Well, now, the other thing that I would add, it seems like he's a bit of a brutal person as well. But then, if you fighting in wars like that, there is no fighting a war without killing people. Unfortunately, that's what it is, isn't it? It would be nice if we could just get away without any wars. That would be great. But well, I don't think that will ever happen with the humans. It doesn't matter what race, just human race in general as a one. We're just gonna be always fighting something or someone. Yeah, so yeah. Okay, see you soon, because it's same ad over and over and it's just not that short. So yeah, I'll see you soon. So I'm back. I have another 15 minutes left on this, and there's 19 minutes recording, but there's obviously the ads as well, you know. So I'll be watching the end of this one now. So let's just jump into it and just finish up.
And the generals tell him, we've lost Syria, it's done. There's nothing we can do about it. And so Heraclius gets on a ship and he says, farewell, Syria. You have been a lovely province. And now you will be a lovely province for the Arabs. And he withdraws. And that was the last time, second to last time, there was a Roman army in Syria. They'll get in one more time, but they don't really keep it for long. Khaled and his army now return to Jerusalem, which on this map is Hiroshima, in case you were wondering. And when they get there, the Romans have largely abandoned it. The Roman military has. But there's enough people manning the walls that you can't get in. So the Arab army is stuck outside, trying to figure out how to get inside so they can capture this holy city. The Archbishop of Jerusalem, a man named Sophronius, by the way, a Christian Arab, a loyal Roman citizen, indicates he's willing to negotiate, but only with Umar ibn al-Khattab, the Khalid. Well, the Khalid is all the way back in Mecca. It'll be weeks before he can be sent for and then return. So they come up with a scheme. And the scheme is, since Khalid is Umar ibn al-Khattab's first cousin, he actually looks like him. So they pretend Khalid ibn al-Walid is the Khalid. They meet with Sophronius, and while they're talking, somebody had actually met Umar ibn al-Khattab, had met Khalid ibn al-Walid, and knew that was Khalid. And so he tells Sophronius, you're being duped, it's not really the Khalid. It's some other dude. It's that general that's been tearing us up. Sophronius is outraged. He goes, you lied to me. And he calls off the negotiations for the surrender. So now the Arabs are stuck getting the Khalid. Sophronius comes out of the gates weeks later to meet the Khalid because he sees the Khalid's army arrive. And as he's approaching, he sees a man leading a camel at the front of the army. So for the record, the rich Arabs, the Arabs who were good soldiers, didn't usually ride camels. They usually rode horses, Arabians. And for those of you who don't know, Arabians are fast and agile, and they have crazy personality. And so they're perfect for warfare. Camels are a little bit clumsy and slow. They serve a purpose in warfare, but you're better off on an Arabian. In any case, the Arab army is being led by a man leading a camel with a man on the camel. So Sophronius, he's got a giant red hat, because he's also a cardinal, right? He's got gold tassels, actual gold, hanging from his hat. He's covered in gold jewelry. He's wearing red robes. He's covered in perfume. He's on a lectica. The lectica was the couch that the Romans would ride, and then they'd have like 4 or 8 men, depending on how big it is, carrying it. And then he has two men, one on each side, fanning him. Of course, right? That's what Jesus would want from his bishops.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And he's coming out on this lectica being fanned. And he comes up to the guy on the camel, and he says, where's the Khalif? And the guy on the camel does like this. He nods with his head at the guy leading the camel. So Sophronius turns to the guy leading the camel and goes, where's the Khalif? And the guy leading the camel says, I'm the Khalif. And Sophronius goes, dude, you're dressed in rags. The guy's pants were mended multiple times. His shirt was mended multiple times. And he goes, no, I'm the Khalif. And Sophronius goes, you've just conquered Iraq and Syria and all of Palestine minus Jerusalem. How is it you're so poor? And the Khalif goes, well, why would I collect wealth? We're not doing this war because I'm trying to plunder anything. I'm a humble man with humble needs. I just need good meal. And then Sophronius goes, why aren't you riding the camel? And Omar goes, that's my servant on the camel, and we take turns so that neither one of us gets exhausted. At this point, Sophronius is like, oh, what? Who just conquered us? What are these, Marxists? And so Sophronius gets off the lectica because he's shamed off of the thing. And he says, okay, I want to talk to you about our surrendering the city to you. And the Khalif says, I have an idea. Let's walk to the city, and I'll tell you what I was thinking the terms would be. So we'll start there. And Sophronius goes, yes, of course. And as they're walking, Umar ibn al-Khattab says, why don't we do this? All Roman politicians leave Jerusalem. You just go, if you're a politician. So if you're a top bureaucrat, an officer.
No, they add? Really? Ugh. This is hopefully gonna be short. That was funny though, yeah. Why are you? Oh, strawberries. Cool. I like some strawberry now. Sorry, I got distracted by fruits. I do like fruits a lot. So yeah, what do I want to say? Yeah, it's like, I mean, Khalid was like, sounds like a good person as well, like in the way that he was switching the who's riding the camel, because his servant wouldn't pass out and be, you know, like that's really like a proper honorable man. I think that's who should rule people if there is some need for a ruler. And that's pretty much all what I have to say, because I really don't know what to say about all this. Like, it's just more about the fact that the Khalid ibn al-Walid, still probably wrong, I'm sorry, was a genius strategist, that he won a battle after battle after battle, and he won Syria for Muslims. So yeah, and there you go, Ad is gone. We can keep going and maybe finish it soon. Oh yeah, there are left maybe 8 minutes left. Okay, there you go.
And you can take anything you can carry. So you can take gold, as long as you can carry. And Sophronius goes, okay. I mean, that's reasonable.
Really fair as well.
That's actually more than reasonable. I just assumed you'd enslave them and take their gold. I don't see how anybody would be mad about that. And then what else? And the Khalif goes, oh no, I was thinking that's it. We don't do anything else. And Sophronius goes, wait a minute, I am really confused. So when us Romans capture a city, we enslave a segment, we plunder the city, probably a little bit too much raping too. We might even burn some of it, just for grins and giggles. And then we declare it to be ours. What about that?
Why though? I could never understand that. Like, if you If you're conquering a city, town, or anything, why are you destroying it in the first place after you won the battle? You're destroying something that you want to claim as yours. It just never really made sense to me. It just didn't make any... Like, seriously, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you destroy this and that after you already conquered the place and it's already yours? Why would you keep destroying it? I just I could never understand that.
Ibn al-Khattab goes, no, we're not going to do any of that. No plundering, no raping, no enslaving. We don't do that stuff. And then Sophronius goes, oh, but you're going to seize property in the city. And the Caliph goes, no, we're not going to take anybody's property. We're going to leave the city exactly like it is. The only thing I want to do is eject the Roman politicians. With whatever they can carry. Mm-hmm. And Sophronius goes, there's nothing to negotiate. Yeah, we surrender the city this instant. I don't understand, actually. They walk into the city. Khalid is one of the men following. Amr ibn al-As. All these guys, they're on foot. If they've got their horses with them, they're leading their horses by the reins, right? Because the leadership is on foot. There's no way they're going to ride in. They're walking. And this is a holy city to them. Because Jesus is holy to them. Because the Jews were holy to them. And so they see this as a holy city. Sophronius goes, tell me about your religion as they're walking through the streets. And so Umar ibn al-Khattab starts telling him about Islam. Sophronius goes, it just sounds like a variation of Christianity. I feel like our religions are shockingly similar. And Umar ibn al-Khattab goes, yeah, because they are. I mean, we thought we were doing Judaism 3.0. It never occurred to us that we were going to be received as being so different. And he goes, okay, since you've given us such amazing surrender terms, my alarm is going on, and I can't turn it off, and it's so embarrassing. It's telling me to put my kids to bed.
Is it that late?
I should have remembered to turn it off, but it didn't occur to me. He says, you've given us such amazing surrender terms, and because I feel such kinship with your religion, will you do me an honor? Will you come to my church and pray in your Muslim way next to me as I pray in my Christian way? And Umar ibn al-Khattab goes, never. And Sophronius goes, why? He goes, I'm the Khalid. The first place I pray in Jerusalem is going to become a mosque. The Muslims will take it and they will create a place of worship for Muslims, and you will lose it. And I don't want you to lose your church. And Sophronius goes, okay. What if we find an empty piece of Jerusalem and we just pray there? And Umar ibn al-Khattab goes, yes, I accept. An empty piece, something that nobody owns. So they go and they find an empty lot and they pray. The Archbishop in his Christian way, the Caliph in his Muslim way, side by side. It is a mosque today, that spot, commemorating the first place that the first Muslim Caliph prayed in Jerusalem. He nailed it. He knew what was coming. And he saved the Church of the Holy Sepulchre for Christians, because that's the church Sophronius wanted him to pray in. At that point, the Caliph says, I want to see the Temple Mount. And Sophronius goes, why? And the Caliph goes, because it's holy. It's holy to everybody. It's holy to Christians, it's holy to Jews, it's holy to Muslims. And Sophronius goes, nah, we haven't been treating it as holy to anybody. And Umar ibn al-Khattab goes, what do you mean? And so Sophronius says, so after we tore down the second temple of Solomon, when we conquered Palestine, we turned the Temple Mount into a garbage dump to punish the Jews. And the Caliph goes, what do you mean? And Sophronius goes, yeah, there's like 500 years of refuse on that thing. It's just a garbage dump. And he goes, show me. They walk up to the Temple Mount, and the Caliph can't believe what he's looking at. He falls on his knees, and he begins clearing the garbage by his hands. His army sees their leader on his knees clearing garbage, and they run up and they start clearing the garbage themselves. And they clear the garbage off the Temple Mount. The Caliph goes, okay, I want to meet some of the Jews living in Jerusalem. And Sophronius goes, there are no Jews in Jerusalem. And the Caliph goes, what do you mean there's no Jews in Jerusalem? The city is holy to the Jews. How could there be no Jews? And he says, well, us Christians, we pretty much murder them every chance we get.
Yeah.
We really hate Jews. In fact, in the war we just did against the Persians, the Jews sided with the Persians. And so we murdered 20,000 Jews in Jerusalem and completely purged the city of its remaining Jewish population. And Omar ibn al-Khattab goes, no, this is wrong. You can't do this.
Another ad. Oh my god, right before the end. That just... not right. But then, that's what it is. How long is it? That's way too long. That's even longer than the previous thing. Ad. And I gonna be back. And this is about AI music. Like, seriously. That's not even funny. Okay. So, I'm just gonna skip this one. Because this is just ridiculous now. And I'm not, obviously, this is not about the thing. It's just YouTube just going bonkers recently. So, yeah. So, we'll be back. So we have literally a few minutes left.
A convert
2 minutes
Islam,
left.
a
Less.
Jewish convert to
2
Islam.
2 minutes.
And he says, I need you to find me 80 Jewish families that were willing to volunteer to move to Jerusalem so we can reestablish a Jewish presence in this city. And that's how the Muslims conquered Jerusalem. And that's the stuff that's left out of your history books.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Because isn't that an amazing story?
Yes, it is.
After Jerusalem, Omar turns to Khaled and goes, I know you fought at Yarmouk, and I know you impersonated me. I really hate you. You're going to go to Mecca, and you're going to spend the rest of your days there. No more combat for you. I'm retiring you. And I actually don't think he died in Mecca. He did leave, but he never fought another battle. That was it. That was the end of his military career. He died in bed at age 50. I don't know what was ailing him. Something got him. And his final words were, you cannot put your hand anywhere on my body without touching a combat wound. I am covered in scars. It was my dream that God would let me die as a man on the field of battle. Here I am, in a bed, dying like a cow. And that's where I'm going to end the story.
Okay. So yeah, another brilliant talk by Dr. Roy Casagranda. That was awesome. And yeah, Christianity for you, isn't it? Just destroy and kill anyone who you can that's not like you. And I just wonder now what he said that this was left out from his history books. I wonder what else was left out in our history books. There's so many things during thousands of years of our history that definitely didn't make it into history books that we don't teach and don't learn about. Especially not in like a basic history in primary and secondary schools. So yeah. So Khalid ibn al-Walid, hopefully I said it properly. If not, I apologize. Sound like a great warrior, I'm actually a profile of a warrior. He said one of the 3 best warriors in history of mankind. I wonder who else he thinks other 2 warriors are. And what else would I like to say? That was pretty good. So, obviously split into 5 parts now. And yeah, we uploading that every 2 weeks. So, thank you very much for watching, and I see you tomorrow. Bye!